Hi there! I'm excited to tell you about mCLASS Intervention, our targeted reading intervention for students in grades K-6. A little bit about me, I'm Lauren Sider. I'm part of the team that supports mCLASS Intervention customers with getting the program up and running in their schools. Some of the big challenges facing intervention coordinators and interventionists are the amount of data analysis that's needed to identify students' needs and form groups, and the amount of time it takes to identify lessons that are aligned with research and then sequence them based on the learning progression. mCLASS Intervention is designed to solve these challenges. It does so by doing the heavy lifting of the data analysis and lesson generation. So educators start out by administering the DIBELS 8th edition and additional measures developed by Amplify to place students into mCLASS Intervention. Every 10 days, educators use a mix of the DIBELS probes such as PSF and ORF and the additional measures developed by Amplify to progress monitor students on the skills they're working on. Then mCLASS Intervention uses its analytical software to analyze the results of each student, update their profile of what they can and can't do, and identify what they should focus on next. Once each student's profile is updated, mCLASS Intervention then analyzes the results of other students and arranges those students by skill into small groups of up to 4 to 6 students. Once the groups are formed, mCLASS Intervention determines the ideal focus for each group and automatically prepares 2 weeks of lessons targeted to the up-to-date needs of each group. Staff then deliver the lessons to students, either with the interventionists pushing into the room or the students from multiple classrooms pulling out to a different room. If a student is working on decoding, mCLASS Intervention then has them complete extra decoding practice during other times in the day or on nights and weekends. The process repeats itself every 10 days when educators progress monitor. In this way, mCLASS Intervention makes it possible to continually work with students rapidly evolving zones of proximal development. I'll show you an example here of what mCLASS Intervention does. Here are the MOI results of 2 first grade students. Specifically, we're looking at their results on the nonsense word fluency probe. Both students have the same score, so a busy teacher would likely conclude that they belong in the same group. But as you can tell, they need different instruction. The student on the left doesn't yet have accurate letter sound correspondence, and they are struggling to blend those letter sounds together. The student on the right has good letter sound correspondence and is good at blending, but they are slow with their reading of CVC words. The mCLASS Intervention algorithm helps teachers by automatically doing analysis to determine where each student is on the mCLASS Intervention reading skills continuum. This is that mCLASS Intervention reading skills continuum. It starts with phonological awareness and extends into decoding and fluency and then culminates with reading comprehension. After analyzing the student's data, mCLASS Intervention would conclude that the student on the left should work on letter sound knowledge and sounding out and blending. And mCLASS Intervention would conclude that the student on the right should focus on regular word and irregular word recognition to improve their automaticity. Now let's take a look at the grouping tool that comes with mCLASS Intervention. Forming groups can normally take many hours, but with mCLASS Intervention, it's just a few minutes. Let me show you how it works. So let's imagine that I'm the intervention coordinator for my school, and I want to create groups for the first grade. I'd start by dragging the 4 first grade classrooms into a pool. I have some filters available to me here. The first thing I would do when I come here is uncheck the green and blue checkboxes. I do this because I want to make sure that I have an intervention group for all of my red and yellow students as my top priority. Once I hit create groups, the mCLASS intervention algorithm then does its item level analysis to determine where each student is on the reading skills progression. It looks at details from assessments such as how many letter sounds a student got correct on NWF. And after the analysis is complete, mCLASS intervention determines which specific skills each student needs to focus on next. It identifies who else is at the same point in the progression, and it forms homogeneous groups of students according to the specifications you entered. And the last step is just saving groups. So we'll go ahead and do that now. After saving groups, you are also going to see a link to the lessons mCLASS intervention automatically compiled for each group. And when you click on View PDF, you're taken to a PDF of a 10-day lesson plan and 10 lessons. The 10-day plan shows a summary of what will happen on each day. You'll see that mCLASS intervention determined the students should now work on 2 skills, phonological awareness and letter sound knowledge. In the 10-day plan, there are 9 days of lessons, and 1 day is set aside for progress monitoring. Each lesson has 5 short activities. And as days progress, the skills are spiraled to reinforce and build automaticity. So for example, on day 1, we introduce the concept of phoneme segmentation. But as we progress, we weave in identification, substitution, and ultimately culminate in first, last, and middle sound segmentation accuracy. Next, let's take a look at a sample activity. We'll look at the middle sound segmentation accuracy. The goal of this activity is for students to identify the middle sound of spoken words. The activity is designed to take 5 to 8 minutes. The activity is pretty detailed. The activity starts with modeling, I do, during which the teacher demonstrates how to do the activity. And then the instructor then pivots to the you do and has the students do individual practice. Let's watch this activity being delivered to a group of students next.
How are you guys doing? Good. Okay, great. All right, so today we're going to start with a game, and we're going to pretend that we're sound detectives, okay? So I'm going to show you guys some pictures, and we're going to need to find some pictures to fill up our bag. So I'm going to say a sound, and I want you to find which picture has the sound in the middle, okay? So here we go.
Like 144 or 50.
So my turn first. Okay, my turn first. So I would like to find a picture that has the sound A in the middle. My turn first. So I'm gonna be a good sound detective. Which picture has A in the middle? Found it. Fish.
No.
Ish.
Yes.
Yes. Fish has A in the middle, right?
Oh, I think that.
Ish. Fish. So we're going to put it in our bag. All right? Okay, let's work on the next one. So raise your hand if you know the next one, but I haven't said the sound yet. So how are you raising your hand? Okay, the next one I would like you to find, sound detectives, is the picture that has aw in the middle. So be a good sound detective and look around. Which one has aw in the middle? Krisa.
Dog.
Dog. That's right. Put it in our bag. Which sound has ah in the middle? Sutini.
Cat.
Cat.
There's 2 minutes.
And to culminate, I want to share that mCLASS intervention has external validity. We've subjected it to a large nationwide study. 14,000 students in 56 schools across the country participated. In that study, the researchers found that K-2 students getting mCLASS intervention outpaced those getting a diversity of other programs, as you can see here. We'd love to tell you more about mCLASS intervention. Please reach out to your sales rep if you'd like us to walk you through the program in more detail.